Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Delinquent Duel podcast. My name is Sonny, and I am here with my co-host.
Yo, it's your boy, Caleb.
Alrighty, this is episode 2. We are coming to you right after the results of the most recent LCS, which is LCS 13, just took place, ended today, which is Sunday, May 9th. So, a little bit interesting. We're just going to jump right on into it. What did you think about the LCS today? How much of it were you able to catch and stuff, Caleb?
Wasn't able to catch a whole lot of it. I had to do a lot of housework today. Did catch that last game. Oh man, that was, that was.
It was a good match.
Yeah. That was
It was a nail biter. Was it?
That's what I was trying to remember. Nail biter. It was a serious nail biter. It was a back and forth. Ooh.
And what's crazy was, so we were watching on Distant Coder's stream, and he had it. So when he started the match, because it's a 3v3, which I'm sure most people realize, the 3v3 it started, and he said, "All right, chat, which match are we gonna watch?" And they chose this match. The other two matches ended in like 20-25 minutes, and this one went the full time allotment, and it went into game 3. Game 3, people are freaking out. They're like, game 3, the other matches are decided, so it's this one game for all the marbles, baby, you know?
Oh yeah, to get first. It meant the difference between getting first place and second place,
As it usually does. So let's talk about first place and what exactly they got here, because so just before we go any further, it was 3v3. It was 70 teams entered.
That's a total of 210 participants.
Yes. So, which I think normally the LCS is, I don't have numbers to back this up, but I feel like normally they run somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 to 400 participants. And there might be a little bit of a reason behind the lower participation this time, if those numbers are right. And a lot of that is due to they changed up the prize support rather drastically this time. Usually it's first, second, third, all the way through top 8 and maybe even top 16 depending on entry levels. But I think normally through top 8 they do cash prizes, which was always the big draw of an LCS. But this time they decided to do things a bit differently.
Oh yes, this time instead, first place would get 15 copies of Pot of Prosperity, which at $85 a piece comes out to about $1,200 if you were to sell off all the copies and didn't keep any.
Right, but they also get a case of Ancient Guardians.
A whole case.
Right.
24 packs per box, that's 12 booster boxes, that's about 288 packs.
It's caused some outrage in the community when they transferred to all product, but so I don't know the exact reason that they decided to transfer to all product. But from what I could gather on the Facebook page, there was a lot of people that were upset over what exactly it was that you would get. The prize support upset a lot of people. And so what they did was they arranged a third-party fence to where if you wanted cash instead of product, they couldn't legally, they could not call it a buyout. But what they did instead was the third party, and this was all before the event, it was all listed on their Facebook page exactly how much each would be. If you decided you didn't want the product and you instead wanted the cash, there was a certain number that they would give you for the cash payout, which I don't have it pulled up in front of me. But that's an interesting concept because you can't call it a buyout, but at the same time, I mean, people want money. People don't want the cards. They already have them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going into this already having all the cards, you want the money because then because all the costs of you maybe having to take the day off of work if you have to work normally. End up having to take 2 days if you made it to day 2. Now I'm thinking about that's really the only cost for these since the LCS are all online.
Well, there is entry fee also.
Yes, and the entry fee, of course.
So it's an interesting change that a lot of people were not happy about. I mean, they a lot of people were saying boycott it, which is that's an interesting extreme to take it to, because this is right now. Obviously, they've got the the extravaganzas and the invitationals and stuff, but this is really the only competitive environment that we have to play in right now. But I've got it pulled up here, some of the representation numbers, which is really interesting. I've got top 8 and the full representation. So
That's top 8 teams.
well, yeah. So I've got it broken down here on the LCS site. Top 24 players and which is top 8 teams.
Yeah.
So total representation in the entire event was, out of 210 players, 53 are playing Dragon Link.
Ooh.
That's over a quarter of the field playing Dragon Link.
Yep.
That's a lot of D-Link. Second most represented is Invoke Dogmatica Shadalls, which, I mean, honestly, I don't know about you, I didn't see a ton of that translated into Top Cut.
I actually have the entire top cut right here. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, so we'll talk about the translation here in a second. 25 Prank Kids, 20 Tri-Brigade. Now, it's important to mention, this is not just Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk. This is several different Tri-Brigade variants. Some pure, some Tri-Brigade Zodiac, some Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk. There's a lot of different ways to play this deck, and it was shown with the deck lists submitted. Then we have 20 Eldritch decks, 15 Dino, 5 Virtual World, which is very interesting, 4 Mech Knights, 4 Subterror, and 33 other. And why don't you talk a little bit more about the Top Cut?
So, over in top 8, we had a total of 8 Dragon Link decks, 4 Prank Kids, 3 Dino, 1 Dino Shadal, which shocked me.
That's something.
3 Dogmatica Invoke Shadal, 1 Dogmatica Shadal, 3 Zoo, and the 3 Zoos were a Pure Zoo, Zoo Eldritch, and Tri Zodiac, and 1 Eldritch deck. Now, the 3 Zoo decks were all on the same team.
Interesting.
And then 2 of the Prank Kids were on the same team with a D-Link player.
What was on the same team with the D-Link player?
Oh, it was 2 Prank Kid players were on the same team as a D-Link player.
Right, and that was the team that ended up winning it all.
Yep, that was the team that ended up winning it all. In the final, it was the ones that we watched was Prank Kid versus a Dino deck, which normally dinosaurs have a pretty good matchup against
Combo
like Prank Kids, but they were able to were able to irk out a win. Now when I heard that his other teammates was a D-Link and another Prank Kids player, I went, oh, then maybe then it was obviously 1 win, 1 loss, and this was only the deciding one. And then I learned that the D-Link player lost his match. And the Prank Kids beat another Dino deck.
Well, the interesting thing about the Prank Kids, I feel like there may be a factor of when UCT goes into attack to burn, it's not quite as effective as it would be against other decks because of the ability of Dropsies to increase your life every time it hits the grave. So
it's got to be
being able to go up to 9, 10, 11,000 life, on a whim, it does help and it does make a difference. But what's really interesting is just talking about some of this, just talking about some of the translation here. So out of 53 Dragon Link, 8 made Top Cut, which represents a third of Top Cut. So a quarter of the field ended up getting a third of the representation of Top Cut, which is a pretty good deviation because it's not a 1-for-1 translation, but in fact it got better. So you're looking at what in theory is the best deck translating. The 4 Dino is interesting to me because there was only 15 Dino decks.
Oh, yeah. And one of them was Dino Shadal.
That's so interesting to me.
I can't wait for that deck list to come out. I am curious.
Yeah, okay, so even though this is getting posted on probably Tuesday, this is getting recorded Sunday, like an
Yeah.
hour or two after the LCS ends.
Oh yeah.
So not a lot of time. But the Dino Shadal deck is very interesting because I think it was only playing about a 7 or 8 card Shadal package.
Yeah, but I mean,
It was really just using it to turbo out Winda.
yeah, but I mean, three Winda. Well, not three El Shadal Winda, three Shadal Winda.
Right, main deck
Yeah,
Winda.
main deck which I think is actually called Windy.
Mm-hmm.
Some Squamatos, a Genius if you're feeling spicy there, and an Aerial, and one Rush Shadal Incarnation. You're good to go.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to play it. I think it was probably running some variation. It had to be running Schism. That card's broken.
Oh, so broken, so broken. Then of course you also have the fusions. But I mean, how big of a Dino package do you really need for Dino to do what Dino does?
Realistically, 2 UCT, 2 Archosaur, 2 Double Evolution Pill, 3 Misk, 3 of the Oviraptor, 1 Giant Rex, 3 Lost World, 1 Terraforming. That's 18 cards, and and the babies. You need 4 of the babies, so that's 22 cards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. With that's easily fittable with the Shadal package.
Well, if you do 22 of those 9 card Shadal engine, that leaves you space for 9 hand traps.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I mean, you could tech in a small engine and still run, your Ash Blossoms, your Nibiru's, and
Gamma if you're that kind of player.
Right, whatever you desire. Oh, and well, dinos either need to be running probably 3 Prosperity at this point because yeah.
Unless but I would think that you wouldn't do that because of the Shadal package.
Well, dinos don't need their extra deck, so
But
really,
Shadals do.
yeah. But you're only running a Wind and an App Clone probably. You're only running a
Maybe
handful.
Construct.
Yeah, you're only
That's
running
big baby.
You're only running 2 or 3 Shadal monsters. So at that point, you just need to save your Shadals and save your Shadals and save your Lagia. 1 Lagia, 1 Dolga, and a Dweller maybe. But for Prosperity, you can choose what you banish, so it doesn't really.
That is true.
It's not Extravagance.
Yeah. Anyway, then we also had 3 Demonica invoked and 1 Dogmatica invoked Shadal and 1 Dogmatica Shadal.
So really, basically, like 4
Dogmatica invoked Shadal
variants. Right. So 31. It was the second most played deck. 31 went in, 4 translated. So we're talking about half the dinos went in and the same number translated. Does that really mean that it's the second best deck just because it was the second most represented?
Probably not. It was
not to say it's not good, but
no, absolutely not. It's a fantastic deck. But if someone was asking what the second best deck in the format right this second is, I would probably say Dino. But we're talking a very close second to something along the lines of maybe Eldritch.
Yeah,
which
it's so interesting because there are several decks that are tier 1, but Dragon Link is just so far and away the best deck right now.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's just because the oppressive board that it makes. Like, I'm a Dragon Link player. I think it's kind of bullshit and probably needs to take a hit of some kind. But that's a discussion for another time. For the moment.
So what else do we have in? What else do we have in translation here? We've got. So here's an interesting one. There were 25 prank kids in total representation, and 3 translated to top cut.
4 translated top cut.
I'm sorry, 4. My bad.
No, you're good.
So, of the 3, 4, whatever the number is that translated to top cut, 2 of those were in the winning deck. Were in the winning team. Which leads me to believe that if the winning team is 2 double prank kids and 1 Dragon Link, are we just in a combo-centric format right now?
I mean, the entire TCG is way more combo-centric than the OCG, where it's more control oriented. The TCG has just kind of always been a little more on the combo side.
Right.
But we are 100% in a full combo shenanigans.
I think that could be part of why Dino has such a high representation because of its strong combo matchup.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just kind of not caring about whatever you got going because I can
Break your board every time.
just drop a misc. GG.
And this is the last thing that I'm going to point out here that is just so interesting. Well, I guess we have two more things to talk about. The main thing that really interests me, though, out of this is 20 Eldritch represented. 20 Eldritch represented in the total breakdown. One.
1.5.
Okay,
Because one of the zoo decks was a zoo lich deck, so 1.5.
Okay, 1.5. Let's just say 2. Just off of...
Just round it up.
Give it the credit. There's 2 Eldritch decks out of 24 players in Top Cut.
Oh, yeah.
Does that speak... What does that say?
I don't know. I'm thinking that my best guess is that maybe Eldritch is a bad matchup against Prank Kids. I don't know much about that matchup. I know they have a bad matchup against Dino. Because mostly because they don't care. Oh no, you sent my...
Well, UCT just kind of bodies.
The whole deck.
Well, specifically the Golden Lord.
Yeah, because it can crash into it even after it has its attack buff.
Right.
And even then, it can just use its effect, flip it face down, and run it over with its 2800 defense.
Right.
Because then it loses the attack buff if it gets book-a-moomed.
Exactly. I think that Eldritch is a good deck. It's a strong engine. There is a chance it's just too slow.
At this point in the meta, absolutely. I can totally see that as a thing.
Which for the players that are locals that are all playing Eldritch, this is not to say that the deck itself is bad.
No. It's a great deck.
I play Eldritch. It's my main. But I don't know that there just aren't better options right now. It's a good, strong deck, and if you play it right, it's going to win games. But every single time we see Dragon Link come out on top. It's time and time again, tournament after tournament, result after result. We went to a case tournament in Mendenhall, Mississippi a while back. Dragon Link went undefeated through Swiss. It, took care of every matchup it needed to take care of because it's just so strong.
Now, do keep in mind that at this LCS, the D-Link player that was on the winning team pretty much got carried by the Prank Kid players.
Yeah, well, we say that jokingly.
But, jokingly, I'm sure that the D-Link player is just as good as the Prank Kid players. It is probably just a bad matchup. It happens. But yeah, no, D-Link is absolutely the best deck in the format at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that shows with not only the representation overall, but representation in Top Cut. I feel like it really stands out.
Oh yeah. Now another thing that I was expecting was something from Ancient Guardians cropping up, specifically something in the Abhiss archetype, and
oh yeah, the Ogdo Addicts.
Yeah, the Ogdo Addicts. We really didn't see anything from them.
There was a team. I think they got 11th place, so they missed out on Top Cut.
Okay.
And that was Jesse Cotton, which is
2
or 3 time national champion. He's represented the United States at Worlds or Canada, whatever country at Worlds. The last 3 Worlds. He's very well renowned. And he was playing it, and his team got 11th, but he was playing in. Lord help us all, it was Invoked.
Ugh, great. I did also remember hearing someone was in fact running Abhiss Orcust.
That's interesting. I guess the floatiness makes sense.
Oh no. And a couple of big Yugi tubers have already put out videos of Orcust plus the Abhiss, and oh lord, did they float each other.
I think part of that is due to the Orcust engine. In the OCG, they have Harpour.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the first thing people do when a new thing comes out here is they go see how the OCG built it and how the OCG did it. And that's what they did. They did, you know, they used Orchest Ogdoadic. Yeah, they did Orchest Ogdoadic. And over there, the deck did well. I think it was topping a couple of events. But over here, without Harpor, it's
Yeah,
just...
they have Harpor. Give Orcust back one Harpor. Just one. Just one.
Card's broken, dude.
Just one.
I don't know about that, man. That's
Just one.
That might be a discussion for a different day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's something that can be discussed at a different day.
Overall, though, it's an interesting representation. Dragonlink, Dino, Zodiac. The Zodiac was interesting too because of 4 Zodiacs, you have 1 Eldritch, 2 Tri Brigades, and 1 Pure. Out of 20 Zodiacs that, or I'm sorry, is it 20 Zodiacs? So Zodiac isn't even listed in their representation.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there might have only been 5 or 6 Zodiac players to begin with.
Yeah, and 3 of them went completely undefeated in Swiss. 4 of them.
That's right. Well,
3 of them went who were on the same team went completely undefeated in Swiss.
That was so funny. They were Simulation 1, Simulation 2, and Simulation 3 were their names.
Yeah, which I thought was funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's interesting to me that these decks are built the way they are, especially the Invoke Dogmatica Shadal decks, because if you look at what that deck is doing, it's all built around, in a way, not entirely, but it's all built around Turbo Winda.
Well, it's Turbo Winda, and then try to turbo either Makaba or Caligula, preferably both, if possible, which is possible but not likely.
Right. It's interesting to me, and really, you're not looking to put Winda on the board on your turn. It's more have the Schism set with the ability to put it out.
Oh yeah, if you can get access to set the Schism, if you have a Shadal engrave, you have access to Winda on your opponent's turn.
Pretty much, yeah. It's this is really leading well into our next major topic that we're going to discuss here, which is something that's really been a big issue and a big heated debate within the community here lately, which is, should Shadal Winda be banned? El Shadal Winda, I should say. Yeah. Because a lot of people fall on the fence of Shadal Winda is an oppressive card and it should be banned. I'll be the first to admit I'm on that side of the fence. I think Winda should be banned. I don't like the card. I don't like the design of the card. I don't like that it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it limits you to 1 summon per turn. Meaning, if you can't hit it in that 1 summon and get it gone in that 1 summon, that's all there is to it. It's rough to recover from that.
Oh yeah. Now do keep in mind that Winda isn't particularly big. If your opponent summons a Pank, you lose your Winda. They just summon Pank, enter battle phase, swing over. But Pank is a non-searchable one of. That's just one example. Within the meta, there are plenty of outs to Winda.
Which side of the fence do you fall on here, Caleb?
Oh, I absolutely believe that Winda should not be banned.
Okay.
If they touch Winda, I think at worst it should be limited to 1. Because then if you out it, it's just gone. That's it.
Yeah, but Winda does not. Winda at 1 does nothing, and we know it.
It depends on what deck you're playing. Decks that are actually running Shadal and not Dogmatica's BS, they run 2 to 3 Windas. 2 to 3 App Cologne, which is an entire other discussion on its own.
I don't think pure Shadal would run that many App Clones and Windas, though, just because it's so combo-oriented of a deck that it really needs the space.
As a Shadal player, that second Winda absolutely comes up. Me personally, I run 3 Construct, 2 Winda, 2 App Cologne. And from what I've seen from other Shadal players, that's pretty standard.
Okay.
I'll
put a disclaimer. I don't know the deck. I don't play the deck.
That's give or take 1 card. Some people prefer to have 1 App Cologne, but 3 Winda. Others prefer 3 App Cologne. At that point, you're nitpicking based on your local and what else you're also playing.
Making meta calls.
Yeah, that's making various meta calls.
It's so interesting to me though, because if you look at the history of what we've had happen in the game before, Konami doesn't have like a general policy of, this card's the problem. Let's hit this card. Because sometimes they say, this card's the problem. Let's hit all these other cards around it for no reason.
Well, usually in that kind of situation, the reason is because the problem card they're still making money off of.
Right, so if you look at something like Christian Halki Fibrax, it was the cause of countless cards getting banned. And this is a much more recent card than a lot of people, might come think about. But Halki Fibrax has been an absolute issue since the day it released. With the advent of Master Rule 5, I mean, we're talking about, God, 5, 6, 7 cards now being banned to save the one Halki Fibrax. And like you said, a lot of it's just so Konami they were still printing Dual Overload, so let's save it,
Oh yeah, and now that they have, as far as I know, they stopped printing Dual Overload, but they're going to keep the Christian Haga Fibrax legal because it's available to be a reprint in the 2021 tin. And they want to push those things out as quickly as they can.
And it just got the Ulti reprint in OTS 15?
Exactly.
And they want to promote that.
So Konami's still making money off Christian Haga Fibrax. So all the good tuners get locked away in the banishment prison.
Yep, it's going to be like Summon Sorceress and Firewall Dragon getting other things banned for a year or more.
Until Konami stops making money off of that specific card, and then they'll ban it and then unban all the stuff around it.
Maybe.
So usually.
See, here's another card that I bring it up all the time because it makes me so mad, is Wind Up Carrier Zenmaity. I personally think that wasn't the problem card. Sure, it being a soft once per turn was an issue, but the real problem card was Wind Up Hunter not being once per turn, being able to constantly loop to, get rid of your opponent's hand.
A la Cannon Soldier.
Right,
for
same
those
principle.
for those who know Cannon Soldier.
Exactly. Or Toon Cannon Soldier. That one's searchable.
To be fair, you are right on that. To be fair.
Yeah.
Because it's a tune.
It's an interesting discussion because there's no consistency with it. Sometimes, though, they go right after the problem card. Look at something like True King of All Calamities. They didn't hit anything else in the Virtual World deck or the Virtual World engine. They went straight for Calamities because they know that Virtual World without Calamities is still a good playable deck.
Oh yeah, and they also went after Zexal finally part of what was so bad about VFD, which is what the community calls
True King of All Calamities.
Yeah. And Zexal is that you couldn't respond to them.
Right.
You just could not.
Well, technically you could respond to True King of All Calamities, but then they would just activate Chuche and pop it, making
Yeah,
it resolves anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Basically there was no responding to either one of these cards. Zexal, if I recall correctly, outright stated you could not respond to it, and then its whole thing was you don't get to play the game for the turn.
Yeah, it's an issue.
It was an issue that I'm glad it's gone.
Yeah, I agree. But that brings us back to Winda. Okay, so let's work through your theory of if the card is the issue, are they still making money off of it, and etc. So are they still making money off of the cards that is the problem, or are they still making money off of the cards that support the problem card?
Okay, so at the moment, with what people say is the Winda problem,
let's go through the combo line.
Okay, so that again, your combo line absolutely depends on what specific deck you're running.
That's fair.
Let's take the shortest combo line to get into a window, which would be the Shadal and the Dogmatica Shadal deck.
Right.
Dogmatica Shadal runs one main deck Shadal card, Shadal Schism, and then they run Abclone and Winda in the extra deck.
No, some of them run Aerial too to get the graveyard banishes.
Oh yeah. I mean, Aerial.
Usually it's like a 5-card engine though, like realistically.
Yeah.
And the Shadal Fusions. They do run Shadal Fusion.
I don't know what. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mill out the window immediately.
Call it an 8-9 card engine, whatever.
Not even.
Not a big engine.
But the vast majority of them ran literally just Shadal Schism in the main with Epiclone and Winda in the extra. So what they do is they would activate Nadir Servant. Part of the cost of Nadir Servant, you had to send a card from extra to the graveyard.
Right.
triggering Apkallon's Graveyard effect to search for a Shaddoll card, then you have to discard a card, add Schism to hand, discard a card, whatever. You're already at a +1 off into Dear Servant immediately right there. Set Schism, pass. Schism, for those of you who don't know, Shaddoll Schism, is a continuous trap card that allows you to fuse during the main phase, either main phase, using any monster out of your graveyard to make a Shaddoll monster. Winda requires a Shaddoll monster and a Dark Attribute monster. Apkallon is a Shaddoll monster. If you have any Dark Attribute monster in your graveyard, bam, you got a Winda.
And it's really, like, really easy to make. I mean, even if you have a legitimate option, is if you can even get an Alistair the Invoker in your graveyard. Or if your opponent is running any kind of a dark deck. There's too many easy ways for Schism to be abused here.
Well, okay, so Schism, so the whole, your opponent having a Dark Attribute, with the Schism stuff, it doesn't matter, because it's exclusively your field, your graveyard.
Right.
Yeah, you're thinking like Super Poly, which is its own beast. Anyway, so with them, it's all the dogmatic stuff, which is still being printed, so they're still making money off all of that, is what's getting you into the searchable Shaddoll Schism, which I don't think should be searchable to begin with, into Apkallon and Winda. And then if you go into Invoke Shaddoll, their whole thing is, they'll try and make Winda the way Shaddoll normally makes Winda, which is via El Shaddoll Fusion, Super Poly if you're running them. I don't know why you wouldn't in Shaddolls.
Right.
So that's how those make them. Then using the Alistair stuff to make the Makaba or the Caliga, preferably Makaba usually.
Right.
Which, just dumping 2 Shaddoll Engrave. There's multiple ways you can go and search into the Schism there. The most common way I've ever done it is make Construct mill the Schism, and then immediately link off the Construct to get the Schism to hand.
Right.
But then I'm having to link into Gravity Controller.
Right. There's a clean line there. In any form of the deck, though, is the point to get into Winda. No matter which way you go, there's always a line. But if you look at the cards that are considered the problems here, though, we're talking about Nadir Servant, we're talking about Shaddoll Schism, possibly Magical Meltdown.
Oh, absolutely, the Magical Meltdown.
Depending, but that depends on if we're talking about Winda still, or if we're talking about the Invoked engine being part of the problem.
Okay. So like even
and Apkallon is the other card.
Oh yeah, okay. So like with Magical Meltdown, it makes Schism. You cannot respond to Schism.
Right.
Or El Shaddoll Fusion, or Shaddoll Fusion.
Right.
Or Invocation.
Right.
Which in and of itself is absolutely disgusting. Like that was just a mistake on their part. It should have been your fusion summon of an invoked monster can't be stopped. Not just your fusion spell can't be stopped.
Right. So the cards that, going off the theory of, they're not going to ban the card they're still making money off of. Theoretically, with the 2021 Megatins coming up, the cards that they're still making or have the potential to still make money off of would be the Schism, printed in Rise of the Duelist, Nadir Servant, printed in Rise of the Duelist, and honestly, even Apkallon. Apkallon only has 1 printing, and that's in the Shaddoll Showdown structure deck.
Oh yeah.
So
those are all problem cards that need to be dealt with, but they're not going to anytime soon because they can all make money off them off the 2021 tens.
Right. I mean, Apkallon could get the reprint in the tens, or even an OTS pack, a side set. Apkallon could get a reprint in any of these places. So what we have to wonder is, with all this potential, are they going to hit Winda since they're not really making any money off of Winda? It's already got several different rarities, several different printings.
Okay, if Konami R&D was going to decide we're going to hit something into this
strategy
pile of cards, invoked Dogmatica Shaddoll, just this pile, and they're like, okay, here are the problem cards. Whenever you list all the cards that they would hit, that would be Nadir Servant, all the cards you listed, and
Right.
Winda. Of those, Winda is the only one they're not looking to make any money off of anytime soon. So Winda would be the one to get hit
Right.
from a money making standpoint. However, from a game design standpoint, me personally, I think the better option would be, if you're going to touch Winda, limit Winda, ban Schism outright. Like, as a Shadal player, I hate Schism.
Well, I mean, you love what it does when you play it, but
Not even. I feel dirty after flipping Schism. I think you can even hear it in my voice every single time I flip Schism on you. Just Schism.
the crazy part is that I don't think that Schism is an inherently unfair card. I really don't. And the reason for that is because it's a trap. Not only is it a trap, it's a continuous trap, which means it must be face up on the field to resolve and activate its effect. So the card loses to MST or Cosmic.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can just chain one of those cards to the activation. You can't get the effect off. So the thing I think is that Schism, because it's a trap card being so slow, you have to wait a full turn after it's set to activate it. You have to, all these things. If you look at the other cards on the ban list in the ban section for the traps, Schism is nothing like those cards. I mean, we're talking a list of not even 10 cards, 9 cards. Last turn, that card's broken for a number of different reasons. Return from the different dimension, broken. Royal Oppression, oppressive and broken. Self-destruct button, that is a game issue. That's a tournament issue. It causes ties. Sixth Sense, broken. Time Seal, skips your opponent's draw phase. That's an issue. Trap Does Shoot, infinite hand knowledge. That's a problem. Ultimate Offering, infinite normal summons, an issue. And Vanity's Emptiness, oppressive. These kinds of cards, to me, they don't hold up to Schism. Schism is not in that caliber of card. To get banned as a trap card, you truly have to be an issue, which, don't get me wrong, Schism is an issue, but it has to be the biggest problem card in the format, playable and everything.
Now, on that list, there is one trap card I do think needs to be added. Pole Position. That needs to just be banned. But
to be fair, Konami did put it in the official ruling docs how that resolves.
Oh, yeah, but I still think they should just ban it. They should never have made the card. Anyway.
It does cause issues on...
but completely different discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing about Schism is that it could very possibly be it could straight up become Vanity's Emptiness by making Winda. It can also become Foolish Burial on your turn, meaning that during my opponent's turn I could Schism into Construct. Mill out Aerial, triple DD Crow right there.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah, another problem is I can make App Clone during your turn. I can make Sheki Naga for the negate. I could make Grista for the negate if I used Ash.
Let's. So we do have to wrap this up because we need to move on in time. I'm not trying to cut you off.
No, you're good. But one more thing to remind about Shadal Schism, it's searchable.
Yeah, it's insane, honestly. So to wrap this up though, there's a list of about 3 or 4 cards. I'm just gonna hit you with them, and you give your opinion on it, and just rapid fire. Where do you think it should be out on the ban list?
Fair enough.
Just what hits what, forbidden, limited, semi-limited, unlimited. What hits you? Nadir Servant.
1.
So limited.
Yep.
Magical Meltdown.
Oh, limited.
Alistair the Invoker.
1 or 3.
No in between, yeah.
No in between, 1 or 3.
El Shadal Apkalon.
1 or 3.
Winda.
1 or 3.
You're not supposed to use an or. You're supposed to just hit
Oh
with
yeah,
the actual number.
I know. But I mean, if stuff has to get hit, I would put Winda and Apkalon at 1. As a Shadal player, by the way.
So this is so funny. We went over the show. We typed up all the show notes going into this, and I mentioned, I was like, wow. I said the show notes really lean towards all these reasons they shouldn't ban Winda. And when we were having this discussion, I said Winda should be banned. I said it's hilarious because it's very clear who typed up these show notes.
Oh yes, because it was my understanding that
Yeah, I would.
here would then
Yeah,
go
yeah.
type up his own show notes.
No, well, it'd be like that. So, what was funny though is, I read over the show notes. I promise I did, but I somehow missed the part where in 3 or 4 asterisks, giant all caps. However, if Konami was to hit this issue, they'd ban Winda.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
All these reasons why they shouldn't, they would definitely ban Winda.
Oh, 100%. I know them.
We've been in it a long time. We've seen many things.
Hey everyone, it's Caleb, also known as Jam the Man, here with our sponsor, Anchor. Anchor makes making a podcast incredibly easy. It has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, then distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many, many more. They even let you make money from your podcast right from the very start. Everything you need to make your own podcast. The best part? It's free. So go and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started today. And now, back to the podcast.
Alrighty, let's move on into something else. This is some news that we just got today, as we're just a few minutes before we read this. Before we started this, the Cyber Style structure deck. Well, the original was Cyber Style. This successor is Cyber Strike in the TCG, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. And the OCG, it's called in the OCG, the whole point behind the name is that it's the cyber style of dueling, which is what Zane Truesdale used with the cyber dragons, and then he decided I need more power and blah 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 because
Right.
he was GX's Kaiba and decided to go the cyber dark style, which is the cyber dark dragons.
So this structure deck, they originated it with Cyber Style, which was all Cyber Dragons, and now it's a Cyber Dragon / Cyber Dark structure deck.
So the OCG is called Cyber Style Successor. It is the successor to the Cyber Style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The TCG title for it is Cyber Strike.
Right.
Because that never got translated into the English version of the manga or the anime.
Right. So what we really have here is, so the OCG started doing this thing where they retrain all the structure decks, where they retrain the Machina structure deck into the Mechanized Mayhem. They retrain the Dino structure deck and zombies. Right. They've done several, and the one they're doing now is the Cyber Dragon one, which came out I think 2016, 2015, something like that.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about this though is that like they didn't do the Dragoonity structure deck here, but they got a Dragoonity structure deck re-release over there. So, but where we're going with this is we found out some of the reprints that
Two in particular.
Right. So they reprinted them in the OCG, but we still don't know if they're coming to the TCG. We're going to quit beating around the bush. The OCG is getting an Infinite Impermanence reprint and a Lightning Storm reprint.
In a structure deck.
Yeah. Come on. What is this? You gotta be kidding me. What are the odds that we get those here?
Oh, 0.
0.
It's 0 that we're getting both.
Think about how little faith we have in Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG to get this right.
I mean,
we couldn't even get evenly matched.
Oh no. And like, didn't the OCG version of the Ice Barrier structure deck get Ice Dragon's Prison in it?
I don't know.
It's neither here nor there. We're used to Konami being incredibly hit and miss with the reprints with the structure deck reprints. Going all the way back to Dino right before I met when they released the Master Hyperion structure deck and that Judgment reprint, that Solemn Judgment reprint, and then the Salamangreat structure deck had the Ash Blossom reprint, but then you had the Ice Barrier structure deck, which had what? Ice Dragon Mirror, Trishula.
Yeah, this deck. So I'm looking at the card list right now for the Ice Dragon structure deck. It didn't have anything good.
Oh yeah, definitely not on the TCG.
Fiendish Chain reprint.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's awesome in 2021 where
I mean, at least
Moon
the
Glacia,
yeah. I mean, at least the
Gen X controller.
the Shark Stripe before the Spirit Charmer Star Strike had Dark Ruler No More and Denko Sekka, which Denko Sekka is still meh, but that Dark Ruler No More was nice.
Yeah, but that I think that would okay. So which one was supposed to have evenly?
Oh, it was the Dragoonity Shark deck had evenly.
Was it the Dragoonity one
Yeah,
in the OCG?
and the OCG,
Oh, okay.
which instead they just reprint. Which instead what they did with us is all the new Dragoonity stuff got shoved into Ghosts from the Past instead of a structure deck.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like this.
That being said, there's also, let's see, attachment Cyburn. That one's thought about for like a split second. It has all the stuff of Union Monster, but it itself isn't a Union Monster.
So I'll be honest. I'm looking here at the deck list for the Japanese freezing chain structure deck. It wasn't really that good either.
Oh, okay.
They had a
stand
point.
corrected.
They had a pointer of the Red Lotus, which at the time had not been reprinted yet over
Okay.
here. So, but that's still not
Yeah, that's not that big of a deal. Okay, I stand corrected.
well. But the other thing was the Solemn Warning, Evenly Matched, D Barrier, Metaverse, Dark Ruler No More, Twin Twisters, Terraforming. That was the reprints for the
Spirit
Charmer. So
Yeah.
they had Dark Ruler and Evenly. We just got
Ugh.
Dark Ruler.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Especially considering we
Crusty.
didn't get the evenly matched. We did eventually get a reprint Ghosts from the Past, but
Yeah, there should be. I don't know. It bothers me to no end that the OCG gets all these amazing reprints. And for that matter, they get these cards in different rarities to begin with.
some of the better cards that are staples over here that are Secret, Lightning Storm, and the higher rarity staples over there, I think we're at rare.
Yeah, and the thing is, what's really cool is they have a system in the OCG more like Magic the Gathering does here, where if it is printed in a rare over there, it could come in rare, and then it could also come in parallel rare, it could come in astral rare, it could come in all these different rarities, ghost rare, whatever, and we don't really have that over here.
Nope.
It comes in whatever rarity it comes in. And it just really bothers me to no end that we don't get the benefit of those equal rarities like they do.
Oh yeah, no, we get what we get.
Right. So that kind of is going to bring us into our last topic here, which is something that's a bit worrying in the community, which is the reports of, and we don't know, we can't really speak too much about this ourselves because our Walmart doesn't have this, but there have been reports of certain Walmarts and Targets which are no longer going to sell trading cards.
No Magic, no
Poke-
Pokemon,
right.
no Yu-Gi-Oh, which is the big thing on this podcast.
Right. And the reason that they're saying this, which Target has been limiting down to a quantity of 2 of whatever you're buying per customer at a time, which is in the interest of keeping scalpers from buying up their entire supply the second they hit the shelves and scalping them online for big bucks. But Walmart posted a sign. I know that it was posted on Team APS's Twitter, which they're only an hour to 2 hours from us. They're not far at all from us. So we were wondering if it was going to impact us here, and we haven't seen a sign like this yet, but we're not saying it won't show up soon.
Yeah. Or if they just won't, or if they'll just not, they'll just say we're not going to restock it anymore, not tell anyone, and then once they're out, they're out.
Right. So but the sign said due to inappropriate customer behavior and increased demands that they did not want the vendors to restock trading cards until further notice. That's pretty worrying. This is the entry. This is the barrier point. This is the entry point for kids. This is the entry point. You know, sure, they can go to the local card shop and support the local card shop. That's awesome. But nobody's going to think to go to a local card shop. 8-year-old Timmy down the street isn't going to look at their parent and say, hey, take me to the card shop so I can buy cards. They're going to be walking through Walmart, see the cards on the aisle, and say, hey, those look cool. I want to get those. And then they buy several packs of those. They have the cards. They don't know what to do with them. And then they start Googling, and what do you know? There's a shop not far from me. And then they go to the shop, and then they spend money at the shop.
That sounds like a personal story, because that's pretty much what happened to both of us.
Right, and see, that's another thing. We come from an area where our local card shop, we have two shops. We have one that's 55 minutes away, and we have one that's an hour and 20 minutes away. No kid around here is gonna
Convince their parents
to drive them an hour. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So for us, this is extremely worrisome.
Less for us ourselves, but for the new players.
The community.
The kids, just,
It's upsetting. It really is.
Yeah, but then something else I didn't like, I understand why they did it, was just the vagueness of inappropriate customer behavior and increased demand.
Absolutely.
I mean, because the inappropriate customer behavior could be theft, it could just outright being the scalpers themselves. Another possibility is harassment from people constantly asking if they're getting the new set. Have they got the new set yet? When's the new set coming out?
Right, harassing the employees of the store. Something else that I saw, and I saw a video of this on Twitter. I spent a lot of my time on Twitter, but I saw a video of some members of, I don't know which community it was. I don't know if it was Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! So I don't want to throw stones. It could have been Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. I don't know. But I did see some members of one of the TCG communities, as they were restocking, there was about 10 people from one group surrounding the restocker, and when a small kid or somebody would walk by, they would yell obscenities at the kids and their parents and say, oh, you're not getting any cards today, and things like that. And that's unacceptable, honestly, in a community where we're trying to embrace not just the other members of the community, we're trying to embrace new players, and this is not a way to do that.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good way to have people just go, I'm just not going to play.
Yeah.
And then in a decade from now, there are no other players.
It gives the community a bad name on top, which is not what we want.
Absolutely not. Now, as of today, earlier today, I think, you went to the Walmart here to check them out?
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. We still had some stuff.
Most of the stuff that we have at our local Walmart, though, it's small stuff. It
took them 2 months to get premium gold.
Literally. We haven't seen the first Ghost from the Past. We haven't seen the first Ancient Guardians. Stuff that's been released for 2 to 3 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen a lot of things. We still have Chaos Impact blisters in our store.
Oh, yeah. And the only place that we have where we live to go get cards from is GameStop.
Which has been sold out of everything for months.
Well, no, because okay. So whenever I actually went to go pre-order,
Ghost from the Past, Ancient Guardians,
Maximum Gold.
Okay, yeah,
Maximum Gold. Because you would just told me that I could pre-order GameStop. Well, I didn't know I could do that. So went in there and I was like, hey, and this was 3 weeks out, almost a month out from when the set actually releases. They had already closed down. They'd already stopped taking pre-orders on it. Because for whatever reason, about 2 or 3 weeks out, they stopped taking pre-orders on trading card stuff. Probably due to they don't want to have a bunch of stock lying around and no one come pick it up. And so then I asked, hey, are you going to have any the day it comes out? Well, no one pre-ordered, so I don't know.
It's a 50-50 shot at that point.
Yeah. The day it came out, I called and they didn't have anything. All they had was the Rex Weevil Speed Duel structure deck.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Oh, yeah.
The community is really in a bad spot. And I don't think many people realize just how bad of a spot the community is in. Because if you look at it and you think about it, without local vending and retail, there's no... Like I was saying earlier, unless somebody knows to get online and Google and look things up, this game has no representation. People aren't going to think, I want to get into a card game today. Let's pick Yu-Gi-Oh! And go on TCG Player and start ordering cards.
Oh, yeah.
It's not realistic.
Yeah, or unless you, know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Right.
Like little kid going, "Oh, I want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh." His friends going, "Oh, my big brother's into that."
Right.
And then that kind of connection, that's not common.
Yeah, you can't rely on that to get people into the game. You just can't.
I wish we could.
Yeah. It really presents some interesting thoughts that Konami's really gonna have to think long and hard about what the solution here is. Whether it be third party vending, promotion of more card shops. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, so like their card shop of the week thing, that's already doing good things, in my opinion. That's great. Where they on their Twitter they go, "Hey, check out this OTS," and they
Right.
show pictures of and they talk about it. That's great. The sneak peeks are also fantastic. You go to an OTS, you can get stuff like a week early. That's also great.
Lost Star promotions,
All Star promotions are amazing.
OTS packs.
OTS packs are also amazing. They're already doing a lot to help. The problem is now getting people in the door to begin
Right.
with. Getting it so that people know to go to these places to begin with.
Right, and they know to go for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. But there's I don't have a degree in this kind of thing, so I don't know how they would do this kind of thing. I'm not.
Yeah, we're not marketing specialists, economists, anything like that, but something does have to be said though for a lot of the blame here being on the scalpers. For somebody to be able to walk into the local Walmart, buy packs at the Walmart at $4 a pack, and turn around and scalp it online for $8, $10, $12, $15, that's insanity.
Oh yeah.
Especially when Walmart was only stocking blisters and structured X and tins to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Don't get me started on actual booster boxes and booster packs.
Do you remember when Walmart would have stuff like that?
No, I don't.
I want to say that there was a time when you could go to Walmart and buy, like they would have like an opened box. Like we're talking right when the game first came out. They would have like a sealed box.
Yeah, because at the time that's all they were selling.
Right, they didn't have, well, I don't know. They might have had sealed blisters, but it wasn't like it is now. And it wasn't until theft really became an issue that they started doing the sealed blisters as an attempt to curb that. But there was a time when you could go in and they would just have an opened box with the packs of cards, and you just grab 5, 8, 10 packs in your hand out of a booster box and walk up and give them to cashier and scan them and pay for them. So in theory, you could grab an entire box at one time. And then they started differentiating between a retail booster box and a hobby booster box, which went specifically to hobby stores and things like that. And what it did was the hobby booster boxes, the supers and the ultras came as ultimate rares. And the retail ones, it was the rares that came as ultimate rares. So it provided a way that a sense of exclusivity to the ultimate rares. Not on top of what they already were. You had to buy stuff at retail, and then you had to buy stuff at hobbies to get these two different rarities, which I think is a great concept. Something that they might think about bringing back.
Very, very possibly. First thing I could think of is maybe make a new rarity that's only in hobby shops, and OTSs, something like that.
Yeah.
Now, we also might be just talking out our rear ends and have no idea what we're talking about. Oh, that is pretty much what it is.
Well,
but
perspective is never a bad thing, though.
Absolutely.
Just from the common player.
Oh, yeah. Bare minimum, it's let's not do that. That's something we didn't think to not do. So now we know to not do it.
Yes. Something else that could solve this issue would be, well, I wouldn't say solve an issue, but something else that could help mitigate would be a third part, well, not a third party, but like a first party Konami built online platform to play. Because if you think about it, and not just Duel Links, I really mean a platform to play the real card game in a competitive tournament environment. Somewhere where Konami might run tournaments,
something kind of like Magic the
app.
Gathering Arena.
Exactly. Even Pokemon has something similar, which I think is, I don't, Coliseum maybe, something on that line.
I don't remember what it's called. But something along those lines. But then another good thing about that sort of thing is because then they can get new rulings out immediately upon a card's release.
Right, and not just that, but you also give the ability to take cards to where you don't have to play in person, right? You don't have to have the physical cardboard. So if your Walmart doesn't have stock, you just play on the app. The only issue is that if you spend a bunch of money on that app for cards you don't have in real life, then it takes away a lot of the benefit of paying that money. So there might need to be some form of, kind of like what Pokemon TCG does, where you can buy them in the app, but you can also buy the regular packs and have a little QR code and stuff, which I guess it hasn't stopped Pokemon from being sold out everywhere. But
I mean, Magic the Gathering also does that. Now something that
they?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Arena had that.
But now something else that Magic the Gathering the Arena has is that so when you put in your QR code or whatever, gives you a pack, you open, you get random cards like you would. You can then take your cards and melt them down into raw materials and use those raw materials to make the card you want.
Gives you an avenue to get the cards you want.
Exactly. And then you can also just straight up buy packs. You can actually earn packs too. You can you can do stuff in the game,
challenges and things of that sort.
Yeah, and earn. Something else that Konami could also do to let you get the in-game packs if you can't buy the physical product.
Right. Well, we hope they do something like that. We hope that they listen to us and take our advice. That would be ideal.
Oh, that would be wonderful. But they're not.
They're not. In the meantime, thank you everybody for listening. That's pretty much going to wrap us up for today's episode. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. We will be coming at you regularly with episodes on Tuesdays and Fridays. Until ban list season, we'll hit you with the emergency pod for the ban list. In the meantime, you can follow us on Spotify, subscribe. You don't have to listen to every episode, just subscribe to us. It'll get us the download anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to us. We are also on Google Podcasts. We're on Podbean. We're on Anchor. Hopefully, in the next few days, we'll be on Apple Podcasts.
Still waiting on them.
That's right. Once we get the acceptance and the monetization from all of these platforms, we'll be on everywhere that you want to listen to your podcast. We'll be there. We'll be available. Follow us on Twitter at D_duo_podcast. You can follow me at DatChumley. And Caleb, what's your handle?
Oh, I don't have one yet.
You don't have a Twitter?
Not yet.
I thought you had one.
Oh, give me just a minute. I'll make one.
Okay, we're going to do this live on the air.
Oh, yeah. Give me just a hot second.
I thought you were at Jam the Man.
Yep, at Jam the Man 17.
Jam the Man 17.
I completely forgot I made one.
Oh, man. Well, listen, the point is we're here. We're here on all platforms. Follow us on wherever you can. And we're going to do our best to always be bringing you the best content that we can bring you. Until the next one, thank you. Have a good day.
You have a great one, guys. Woo!